Hi, I'm Dr. Shannon Jarrett in the Department of Human Development. Welcome to HD 3234 Online. This is Lifespan Community Services. I wanted a chance with this first module for you to have a chance to see my face as well as hear my voice over the narration of this first class module. I am hoping that we'll still have a chance, despite being separated by distance, to learn a little bit about each other and to build a sense of community, even though all of the students aren't coming together in a physical space each week. I'm going to go ahead and get started. In this module, we'll talk a little bit about the objectives for this course, the competencies that students completing this course can achieve, and we'll go over some nuts and bolts things, of course, this first day of class related to readings, a calendar, assignments, and best way to get a hold of me. And I'll walk you through our Scholar site so you can get a little bit of a tour of our virtual classroom. Let's go ahead and get started. We will address a number of objectives that center on using a life course perspective to consider the need for human services, what services are available, the policies that fund and provide oversight to these programs to ensure that they're meeting their objectives. We'll address the theories and research that inform and determine the best practices for operating these organizations. This course is useful at an individual level for a few reasons. Students will learn about resources in their community that may be of use to them or to family members in the near or distant future. Through exercises and semester projects, students will also have the chance to explore human services where they may seek a career, and they'll have a chance to build their competencies to seek employment with these organizations. So a lot of you have worked or volunteered in human services. Why are they important? Let's take a look at some headlines that illustrate where human services are working, where they're missing, and where they're simply broken. These programs address these issues, and they address the need for caring human service workers like yourself to make a difference. When supervisors of caregivers is lacking, even relatives can cause great problems for adults who are not capable of meeting their own needs. This is a lot of Joan Rivers jewelry that can be bought with that $350,000. Children's welfare often depends on human services workers when parents are abusing drugs and unprepared and unable to provide the care a child needs. Concerned citizens can learn how to monitor Medicaid claims for evidence of fraud. With Medicaid providing billions in health care to poor children and adults every year, fraud at this level reduces the number of people who can be served. Becca Levy, a professor at Yale University that I've been working with, continues to find new evidence that attitudes you have about aging can impact your experiences as an older adult. If you subscribe to stereotypically negative portrayals of elders on TV and in the movies, think The Simpsons, you are more likely to experience greater physical and cognitive decline, and you're likely to have a shorter life. Most foster children face a difficult transition out of the foster care system because services have been pretty well cut off cold turkey. Researchers have identified the negative impact this has on the teens and their community. So cities like San Diego have been working to introduce transition services that support career training, life mentorship, and help finding jobs for teens aging out of foster care. We'll address this topic later this semester. So, if you're not poor or a child of drug-addicted parents or a foster child or a Medicaid beneficiary, why do these headlines have meaning for you? Here's just a short list that includes personal reasons and professional reasons. Some students would prefer that this course focus on services for children and youth, but the reality is that older adults are growing in number and representation of the U.S. population, which will generate career opportunities in gerontology and geriatrics in many different disciplines. If you work with children, you've got a great potential resource in elders who can support you, the kids for whom you care, and their own well-being by volunteering or working with those children. If you're planning to work with nuclear families with children under the age of 18, remember, these families often include and even depend on the older adults, and the elders depend on these families or on their children and grandchildren for support. A life course perspective is an asset as we see how youth influences old age and how relationships are closely connected to optimize or challenge healthy development. Adding to the previous slide, it's helpful to know a little background about human development and its place at universities like Virginia Tech, and its place in the community. You may know that Virginia Tech is the land-grant university in Virginia, along with Virginia State University. The land-grant system was created by the Morrill Act in 1862, with the expectation that these universities would translate research conducted at the university into practice in the community. Cooperative extension is the primary vehicle for doing this at the land-grant institutions. You may have spent time in the past with 4-H or Future Farmers of America. These are cooperative extension sponsored programs. Extension agents provide current knowledge to farmers on how to raise their crops or their livestock. They provide farmers and families with information on how to safely prepare and preserve food, what a healthy diet entails for family members of different ages. And human development exists almost exclusively at land-grant universities because we support cooperative extension in helping individuals, families, and human service professionals meet the developmental needs of children, youth, and adults. So go ahead and have a cupcake to celebrate the Morrill Act, 150 years old. It is the reason that tech is tech. Now that I've given you just a little bit of background on our course, let me tell you a little bit about myself. All of us have our reasons for being in human development. I've got 3 college degrees, all in human development from different land-grant universities, and now I'm here working at a land-grant university. I'll try to be brief. This is a photo of me at the age of 1 with my grandmother, Catherine. My grandmother is the reason I do what I do. She provided a lot of daily care to me and my younger sister when we were small. My dad was overseas a lot in the Navy, and my mom worked full-time. This worked primarily because of my grandmother. When I was 16, my brother was born, and my grandmother, at the age of 81, began providing full-day child care again. I had the unique opportunity to observe how good they were for each other, and to think it must have been the same when my sister and I were very young. Nanny often told us that my brother gave her a reason to get out of bed in the morning, and my brother got loving care that he couldn't have gotten in a group care setting. This experience inspired me to work to support intergenerational connections between children and elders who don't have these types of connections in their own families. I've been writing about intergenerational, or IG, relationships since I was a senior at McLean High School, applying for admissions to schools, including Virginia Tech, where I was not admitted. I have children of my own now, and I'm pleased that they have time with grandparents, though none of them live close enough to see Sam and Molly frequently. Because of this, I'm extra proud of a program that I launched with support from HD colleagues in Wallace Hall. This is Molly here when she was a baby. Our department's Adult Day Services and Child Development Center for Learning and Research, this is in the blue room if you know the CDCLR, they're unusual for being located next to each other, for being on a college campus, and for being based in an academic department that's committed to the land-grant institution. Through regular IG programming, which often involves BT field study, service learning, practicum, and graduate students, we contribute to teaching and research and services that makes a great feedback loop, where the teaching contributes to the service, which contributes to the research, which feeds back to inform our teaching and research. The Neighbors Growing Together program has been recognized nationally for best practices and leadership in promoting IG programs. You'll learn more about this program throughout the semester, and some of you may choose to complete service learning at ADS for a course project. I want to point out as well that our foot logo here was created by a human development student several years ago. We're very proud to have her artwork shared with us. In 2012, I contributed to community building by taking 12 Virginia Tech students to South Africa with Dr. Megan Dolben McNabb to complete an international version of this class, HD 3234. We toured human services programs, engaged students and local families in service learning, and we initiated a new research program of grannies raising grandchildren. It was a remarkable 2 weeks that challenged all of us involved to think about our role in building communities so far away, the best way to do that in a culture that we don't belong to, and how to empower families and teachers to better meet their children's, their elders, and their own needs. I hope to host South African students from Northwest University in the future and to take our own students back to Mabato. So enough about me. I wanted to give us a chance to listen to me talk about myself. I do hope we'll have some opportunities over the course of the semester where we can meet in person, meet on the phone, meet over Skype, and certainly to be in touch through email, Twitter, and our Scholar site. So please help me to make opportunities to do that. I expect a lot of you are in Blacksburg, so please, if you see me and you recognize me from the video, come up and introduce yourself. That'll be really nice. I would appreciate that a lot. Now we get down to some nuts and bolts. Because of our life course perspective, there are 2 books for this course. You should have no trouble finding used copies to buy. I will let you know that within these books, we do not go first through book 1 and first through book 2, nor do we within the chapters go 1 through 14. I've been quite intentional about the order I've selected, the topics we'll cover, and the chapters that accompany those topics. So bear with me, I do have a method behind the madness. I also want to let you know there will be some readings posted to Scholar. Those are right now listed in your syllabus, and we'll have them up at the Scholar site before too long. I also want to advise you that if you know you don't want to or don't have the money to buy those texts, you should still be reading those texts. They are required for the course. You can go check them out at the reserve table in the Newman Library if you're local to campus.
I don't know how many of you have completed an online class before. I'll ask that in the syllabus quiz you'll complete this week. But I want to talk about some ways that this online class is similar to and different from classes taught in a classroom. As with this module, all the models in this course are asynchronous, so you don't need to be in front of your computer at a specific date or time of day. You can then complete the modules just about any time within the week, and you can stop and start the modules if you need to. Most of them are running in the 25 to 45 minute range. With regards to exams, these are not available for a full week like the modules and the assignments for a given module, but they are put up on a specified date for 36 to 48 hours across 2 consecutive days. You want to make sure to check your syllabus for the time amount that the exam will be open and the days that the exam will be open. Usually this is going to be over a Thursday and a Friday, and your syllabus will give you the very specific times. You want to make sure you've got that right. If you're somebody who worries about getting your notes down when you're in a person-to-person, face-to-face class and you like to get copies of instructors' notes, you've got all of that with this online class. The instructional modules will remain available for the remainder of the semester once they're posted, so you can listen to my Camtasia lectures to your heart's content. Also, because people learn differently and may require some accommodations, I've posted the PowerPoint slides and the audio transcript. So if you want, you can print those out or you can have them open on your computer and take notes while you're listening to the lecture. Use the learning strategies that work best for you. If you're a visual learner or an auditory learner. I've just gotten feedback from students in the past about how they've been printing out screenshots, and it just seemed like it would be best to post those PowerPoint slides as well as the transcript of the lecture. You'll have to forgive me, those transcripts may include my corny jokes and directions to myself on where to click on the screen as I'm making the recording, but the important stuff, the information that I'm sharing in the lecture, will be available to you. Because of the freedom to set your own schedule for this course each week, success in the course requires greater diligence for students to keep up with the work. So you need to make sure that you think about how organized and how diligent you're going to be able to focus your energy that's needed for this class, since you won't be able to do all of it completely at your own pace, and you're going to find that you are not wanting to wait until 11:50 p.m. every Friday night to take care of assignments and to watch lectures or to try and squeeze through exams or assignments. Monitoring the due dates for assignments and getting them in your own calendar will be critical, since I won't be seeing you in class twice a week to remind you. Also, because we won't see each other unless you come looking for me, students and instructors have to be extra diligent maintaining lines of communication. There will be greater emailing, calling, and tweeting between us. Yes, I did say tweeting. Read the assignment directions well in advance so you have plenty of time to contact me for questions or clarification, which I'll be happy to provide.
So ways that this online version of HD 3234 is similar to the seat-based version include comparable amounts of reading, content presented in the modules, though most modules will be shorter than a 75-minute class, and assignments are comparable, including offering service learning as an option for local students. Materials would be posted to the course site each week, usually on a Sunday, with that week's learning objectives, modules, and assessments. So the course is not self-paced, and you will need to stay with me through the entire semester, but it'll be worth it. As with other classes, I am open to meeting with you during office hours or a scheduled appointment if you can't talk during office hours. You can come to my office in Wallace or call, email, or Skype me. I'm going to take you to the Scholar site, which is going to have more material added throughout the semester, but I can show you a few things now.
You'll notice that Scholar has gotten a new look, and it won't take you very long, though, to find the information that you need in this new setup. You've got a tab right here for the syllabus. I have got the syllabus posted. I want to remind you to check back pretty regularly. If you're somebody who likes to print off and keep a paper copy of the syllabus, you can see on my document when the syllabus was last updated. I do anticipate, as I find edits that I need to make to the syllabus, or should I need to change the due date or the order of a unit, you'll be able to check that you've got the most current syllabus by this date in the bottom right hand corner of the page. You will want to make sure that you read all the way through this syllabus before you take the quiz that's associated with this unit's learning activity. Something that may be new to you is modules, which are typically associated with an online class. You've got that tab over here, and you're going to see when you go to this section of the site that there are different units posted and made available to you each week. So right now you would have the units available for the first week of the semester only. So let's take a look at the next unit you'll be looking on. You've already seen some of this since you've made it to this video. You've got module objectives, so to keep you oriented on what you should be able to do when this unit is completed. You've got the readings that are associated with this unit, and this Unit 2 gives me a good example to point out that not all of our readings are going to come straight from the 2 course textbooks. Reading for this second unit includes going to a website at the childstats.gov website and reading information on health indicators and well-being indicators of young children. The next item you'll have is the actual narrated lecture, and this will either be in an MP4 file format or you'll have a link to a streamed version of that same lecture. You've got a link to the quiz, or we're going to work on having the link to the discussion forum or the learning activity. As always, should a hyperlink not work for you, you'll have the directions so you'll know whether or not you should be going into tests and quizzes and looking for something that is labeled Module 2 Demographics Quiz, or relatedly, if you might need to go to the forum section or to the assignment section, you could find that assignment associated with that unit if you have a hyperlink that doesn't work. As I promised, I've also got a link to the transcript for this lecture, and I have the PowerPoint slides, so you can open those up and print them as you will. So there's a quick tour of what you can find within the modules. If you take yourself to the assignment section of the Scholar site, you'll find where you will submit information for a semester project. Each student will choose from the service learning, a future text project, or a community learning project. Each project is expected to take about the same number of hours, and they're intended to reflect different student professional goals or interests. And you'll find information about what learning objectives, what professional development objectives you can expect to achieve by completing either of these three projects. You'll also want to keep in mind, specifically for the service learning, that you need to be really mindful of your schedule and what availability you have, because some of the sites where you can perform service learning are only going to be open during weekdays, maybe during business hours, maybe they want people to come on weekends. It's a little different from site to site. So be realistic with yourself about what your schedule will allow. Service learning is a great way to get hands-on experience connecting course material to working in the community. And at the same time, some students' schedules just aren't going to allow them to work that service learning in, whereas the future text has got the most flexibility as far as scheduling time goes, and the community learning, you can choose an activity or a series of activities in the community learning project that will fit your schedule. So be realistic with yourself about that. So if I open up, let's go ahead and start with a service learning integrative reflection. I've got here the directions and the cover sheet, and so this will give me detailed directions for each of the three service learning integrative reflections that a service learning student would write. I've also provided with each of the reports an example, an exemplary paper for you. These are papers that I've gotten permission from previous students in my class to share. Their names and identifying information have been removed. I can't tell you that they were perfect papers, but they'll give you a good idea of what I'm looking for and how you might organize the material that's unique to your project. I will use in this course audio feedback. It is a way for me to share personal feedback to you directly, and it saves me a lot of typing and reduces my risk of carpal tunnel. I will have directions for you on how to access those audio notes, and I think that it'll be helpful to you if you take the time to listen to the detailed feedback that I'll offer. So all your assignments are going to be submitted electronically through this assignment section of Scholar for your semester projects. You'll also probably have a couple of learning activities for a given unit that's due by that 11:55 p.m. on Friday that you would submit here in assignments, but there won't be very many of them. One thing that we will use a good bit through this course are forums. I find that this should be a good way for students to connect with each other and for me to connect with students a little bit, something that can be harder to do in an online format. And so what I've done, I have one example available to you. This is the forum for Unit 2 on demographics. And what you will find when you go here is that you have been assigned to a group. And so in this student view, I'm in Group 1. And you'll only be able to access the forum response for the group you belong to, so you don't have to worry about posting your answer with the wrong group. And there are going to be 3 to 5 students within each group. Each student is responsible for providing a response that follows the directions for that unit. And then what I'm going to ask each group to do is that they take turns alternating who will report out a summary for all the individual members' responses. So if there are 5 people in a group, and I go to review that group's responses, I should see 5 individual and unique responses, right? I don't want you just parroting what somebody else in your group has already posted. It needs to be a unique response. And let's say my last name starts with the letter A, so I know I'm going to be the first person who reports out on the themes and the general consensus, or if there are differences of opinion among my group members that are indicated in their responses. So if my last name is Ames and I'm the group reporter, I will post my own individual response, but then by 11:55 p.m. on Friday or whatever the reporting date is, I will provide a brief summary of my group's answers. I, as the instructor, am then going to look to make sure that each individual student has posted a response, and then I'll assign my grade for the group. So this will be a shared grade based on what the reporter reports out. And so everybody will get the same grade for that forum response unless I see that you did not post a unique response that was appropriate for that group forum. You can sort out amongst yourselves to make sure you know who will be responsible for summarizing the trends and the themes in individual members' responses. And you may want to communicate with each other about setting an earlier deadline than that Friday 11:55 p.m. It's not fair to your group reporter to have to wait sitting in front of her or his computer at 11:50 p.m. on Friday if they posted their individual response earlier in the week because they're waiting for individuals to get back to them. So sort that out amongst yourselves, and I think it'll be a nice way for you to connect with each other and share your ideas with each other, and for me to see if there's some group consensus or concerns or questions within your responses. When you go into Gradebook in the student view, it's a little bit hard for me to get a recording of a good picture of the Gradebook from a student view. It's going to present all the grades for all your activities. I'm not going to make grades available until I've had a chance to grade the entire class's assignments. And so you won't see grades for a week's activities until probably the middle or end of the following week. It is my goal to turn things around to you with grades and comments within a week of receiving them. You might get them earlier, but I will aim for that goal of 1 week. I encourage you to check the Gradebook regularly to track your semester grade and to contact me if you want help figuring out how to improve your grade, or if you see that perhaps I have made an error in entering your grade. You know, it's one thing in one place and one in another. You know, a nice thing about submitting your project reports through assignments and taking the quizzes online is that those grades automatically populate into Gradebook, so it reduces that chance for human error. I also want to point out that within the Gradebook, because students working on different projects have different point values for each of the 3 pieces of their semester project, you are going to see things in the Gradebook for which you will not receive a grade. So for example, service learning students will see blanks for community learning related project grades and for future text related project grades. So don't be alarmed that you see that there are those columns showing up in your Gradebook, but you don't have a grade, because those aren't assignments you're expected to complete. I will also use email and messages in this course. If I get a request from somebody through Scholar, or I get an email sent directly to me, or I have a conversation on Skype, I'll take advantage of the Scholar email and messaging system to share information as appropriately with the class as a whole. One section of this assignments where you will just be putting text into a text box in the assignments page is for the semester plan for future text projects. And so you will be putting your information directly into this box. As I said, instead of just typing directly into the box, I would suggest that you copy and paste your information from Word. So if this was the semester plan that I had prepared, I would have typed it into Word. You can see I've got the numbering formatting there. I've got some things in caps. I've already run spell check on it. And then I can copy and paste. And this clipboard feature that I'm talking about is a clipboard, and it's got that Microsoft Word logo, that big W on it. I'm going to hit that button. Come over to the paste. I'm going to paste my information in, hit OK, and then this looks reasonably much like what I had formatted into the Word document. And I have my backup copy in Word if anything crazy happens. My husband jokes that I have electric currents running through my fingers that give me problems working with the computer. You do have a quiz to complete this week for Module 1. It's available now in the Modules folder. You're going to have, for this quiz and for all of our quizzes, just one attempt to take each quiz. And once you start it, you'll have 10 minutes to finish the items in that quiz. You'll want to look at the syllabus before starting the quiz if you haven't already. I think I mentioned that earlier, so it bears repeating. You can complete the quiz anytime during the week covering that module up until 11:55 p.m. on Fridays. Items are typically going to be drawn randomly from a pool of items on each learning objective. So make sure you know what those learning objectives are. I am really intentional and purposeful in providing you with those objectives. They inform the quiz items and the exam items that I prepare. So each student sitting down to take a quiz, even if you're sitting next to your friend taking the quiz, you should have a different set of items. Again, this is not the time to be building community with each other. There may be a few exceptions in the syllabus. Always rely on the syllabus when an exam is due on a day other than a Friday. And that would be in a week where the university is closed on a Friday and we've got, say, a fall holiday scheduled for a Friday. In that case, the quiz would be due along with all other assignments by that Thursday. If we have in the last week of classes, we don't usually end on a Friday, so you might have assignments or a quiz that's due by 11:55 p.m. on that last day of class. So Friday is generally the rule of thumb to work with. Always check your syllabus, and if we don't have a class on a Friday, then your assignment or your quiz is going to be due earlier in the week. Turning to exams, in response to feedback from students in previous semesters, I've built 3 midterms into the syllabus, including a non-cumulative exam during final exam week. Unlike the quizzes, you'll have 75 minutes to complete the exam once you begin it. Once you start it, you have to finish it. You can't go in and out as you might with some of your assignments. You'll need to complete that exam within either a specified 36 to 48 hour window. The exam won't be up for an entire week like all the units for a given week or assignments for a given week. So you'll want to make sure that you check the syllabus for the specific date to see if it starts at midnight on Thursday and closes at almost midnight on Friday, or if it opens up on some variation of that theme. As with the quizzes, these items are selected at random from test banks. I've been working on building up a big test bank, so again, people should have different exams. Students who qualify for accommodations, such as additional time to take an exam, they need to communicate with me about those qualifications and their needs by the end of the first week of class so we can make appropriate arrangements. VT Honor Code does apply in this exam setting. These are obviously going to be open book exams. I can't keep you from opening your book and using those resources available to you. More power to you, but this is not the time to be working with others on completing your exam. So no community building during the exam. Do it while you're studying. We've talked a little bit about the semester projects when I was giving you the tour of the Scholars site. You are going to have a couple of different options this semester: service learning, the future text project, or the community learning project. Again, keep in mind what your schedule is going to allow you to do, and be thinking about your academic, your personal, and your professional goals, because I chose these different projects to reflect different interests of students as well as different schedules that might require more flexibility or a little bit less flexibility. As with the quizzes and assignments, you're going to have these reports due by 11:55 p.m. on Friday. Again, the exception would be if something is due a week when we don't meet or classes aren't being held on a Friday. In that case, your assignment is going to be due 11:55 p.m. on the last day before that break. Maybe the Wednesday if that's the last day of classes, or Thursday if it's right before a fall semester break, just for example. I've already shown you in Scholar, although we're going to go back there in a second, to the assignment section of the Scholar site. You will have probably only a few things outside of your semester project plans and reports that are submitted through assignments. These could involve a case study or a reflection on readings and modules. I would like to recommend that instead of just typing directly into the text box at the assignments page, that you consider typing your answer in Word and then using the Word clipboard feature at the Scholar page to ensure that spelling and grammar and formatting are exactly the way that you want them. Also, for your own protection, should you run into some crazy electrokinetic glitch when you hit submit, if you've typed your answer into Word and saved it and something doesn't go through in your submission, then you have that information. You can just copy and paste it again. I encourage students to always check when they've submitted an assignment, to refresh their screen, go back and make sure that what you think you've submitted is actually there and received. You should be getting email messages as well when something has been received at Scholar for your account. Again, as with the quizzes and with the exams, things are going to be due by 11:55 p.m. on Fridays, with very few exceptions. This is somewhat self-explanatory. I've left it open-ended because it does change some from semester to semester. You want to take a look at your syllabus to see what the different numbers of quizzes, exams, or learning activities are, and how many each item is worth, and what percentage of your total semester grade those are going to be worth. I try to find a reasonable balance, so you'll find that exams are typically worth close to half of your grade that you earn in the semester, and that learning activities and semester projects may account for 25 to 30% of your semester grade. I know I just said something that adds up to more than 100, but you'll be able to verify what those specific item grades are and the percentage that they contribute. My intention is that you can't just ace exams and earn an A in this course, and you can't just show up and put something down in a learning activity and earn an A in this class. I recognize people have different strengths and they show it in different ways, and I want to be able to account for all of those in semester grades. Knowing that people do have things that come up, and so that I am not having to deal with judging whether something is a legitimate absence or not. You are allowed 2 free misses in the learning activities or those quizzes or those forums, meaning that your semester grade is going to be based on 2 free misses. If you complete all of the semester's learning activities, you can earn more than the maximum, than the indicated number of points allowed for that category. So if I had 25 learning activities worth 3 points apiece and you completed 20, and I said you get 2 free misses, your grade's going to be based on 23. If you get 3 points on all 25, then you get 75 points out of really 69 possible. So keep track of what you're earning as the semester goes on. Keep track of it in the grade book, and of course contact me with questions. This is the calendar page from your syllabus. You can see a lot of information in here. You will specifically note that I've aligned the week and the date of the semester with the units that are going to be covered during that week. I've listed the topic. I've listed in this far right-hand column the associated readings and any assignments and when they're due. You'll note here that this is 11:55 p.m. Friday Eastern Standard Time, so even if you're taking this class in California, you're going to have things due by 11:55 p.m. Blacksburg time. You'll also see marked in yellow here when exams are. There's that very specific 75-minute period for students taking the exam this particular semester. Maybe looking different if you are taking this class at another time of year. I've got noted here when service learning journals are due, when future text reports are due, when community learning reports are due. Please note that these aren't all due on the same day. So you may have an assignment due one Friday and your colleague who's working on another project, a classmate in this same class, may not have a report due. Don't be freaking each other out. Just pay attention to your syllabus and when your things are due. This is intended to let me respond and grade your items in that 1 week turnaround time and not be receiving everybody's assignments on the same day. As I mentioned, there are some exceptions to that Friday rule. This calendar is going to offer us an example. In the semester that I am offering this course, the last day of classes is on Thursday. And so these community learning students have their final report due by 11:55 p.m. on Thursday. You turn it in on Friday, it's going to be late. You try and answer that Unit 26 form on Friday, it will be closed to you. That's the only exception in this particular semester's calendar, however. So please use that syllabus, keep it handy, make sure you've got the most up-to-date version. It'll be a valuable tool for you this semester.
While we don't have some of the same professional considerations for this class as with a seat-based class, you can come to this class in your pajamas if you like, for example. You're welcome to stand up and stretch during this class if you need to. I'm sure I've had students come to my class in pajamas in the past. There are some points that will help our partnership as student and professor. Please seek me out when you feel you need help, academic or otherwise. I can offer feedback on report drafts, offer clarification on assignments, help you figure out how to study smarter for the next exam, or direct you to other available resources. Coming to me late in the semester with concerns is really hard to address if you didn't contact me when those concerns first arose. As a rule, in my courses, makeups and extra credit are not permitted. I'd really rather see you put your time into completing the modules and the assigned work than looking for extra credit. We will adhere to Virginia Tech's principles of community in this course. This relates to how we communicate with each other through tweets, Skype, email, forums, and of course, in person. The VT Honor Code applies to all work completed for this course. I encourage you to treat email as a means of professional communication. I typically try to check email in a block of time in the morning, and I am not usually checking email in the evenings and even on the weekends. Given the anticipated increased volume of email for an online class, I will probably answer a lot of messages for this course at a few times during the week. My response to your question may be distributed to the whole class, as individuals' questions alert me to questions that the whole class may have, and where the whole class may benefit from hearing a response to your really well-timed question. I will remove identifying information in these emails so people won't know who asked the question. And for a little humor break, we're getting close to the end of this presentation, I offer reasons why it's important to treat all writing with care as a professional communication. These are examples, you may have seen them before, of comments taken from doctor's notes, medical charts. Patient has chest pain if she lies on her left side for over a year. What's keeping her in bed for over a year? On the second day, the knee was better, and on the third day, it had completely disappeared. You know they're talking about the pain, not the knee. Patient has 2 teenage children, but no other abnormalities. I can relate to that these days. The patient lives at home with his mother, father, and pet turtle, who's presently enrolled in daycare 3 times a week. Don't laugh, I know some of you take your dog to doggy daycare. The patient suffers from occasional, constant, infrequent headaches. Well, which is it? Twitter may not be new to you, but it is new to me this semester. I believe it will help me to keep up with a volume of inquiries from students, and it'll allow me to send out reminders, study tips, links to news stories relevant to our course quickly. My Twitter account will be private, so you will need to request to follow me. I promise to approve your request. Whereas I expect you to treat email as a professional form of writing, much like a business letter, with the character limitations in tweets, abbreviations and a more informal means of writing is fine, so long as I can understand your shorthand. Following me on Twitter will not substitute for reading the syllabus, checking your email, or visiting the Scholar site. Stay tuned on all fronts. Please be prepared to offer me advice or feedback if I have hiccups with this experiment. You received an email from me last week. We just looked at it in the communications folder at the Scholar site that offered technical requirements for this course. It is your responsibility to ensure that you've got everything you need and a reliable internet connection to complete modules and assignments. Don't wait to contact IDDL, that's the Institute for Distance and Distributed Learning. Their email is right here, for technical support. Contact me for assignment, content inquiries. Contact IDDL for technical support. I encourage you to think about where you'll complete your coursework: on the bus, on the side of the track or athletic field, in your apartment. Consider if you'll have enough quiet to hear the module and a good enough internet connection to download the materials, which, as I mentioned earlier, can take a while. While the flexibility of online modules is liberating, it can pose challenges. If you decide you want to finish a module at dinner time in your small apartment with a noisy roommate and dog, you might be better off at the library.
You do have a learning activity for this module. It involves 2 steps. I'm going to ask you to post your photo. This is not a photo of you and your sorority sisters or a photo of your cats, but of you. I'd like to be able to put a face with the name and with a voice. Hopefully we'll have a chance to speak this semester. So you're going to be able to do that within your home space at the Scholar site. You're going to select your profile and upload your photo. Add your birthday, other information as you wish, and I'll get some other info from you in your quiz, and of course we'll learn some more about you and your life as we go through those discussion forums.
What you are going to want to do at Scholar, and I know some of you have already got pictures available for me. I really want to be able to put a picture with the name, since we won't be seeing each other, if at all, or on an irregular basis. So what you would do is you'd go into My Workspace right here. You would come on down to this profile button, and you can see that just today I posted a several years old picture of myself. You've got information on my birthday, so if you are listening to this lecture on August 27th, then be sure to wish me a happy birthday. You're not required to provide this personal summary, but there's a little bit of information on me, and you've got my email as well, of course. Again, my main objective is to have a photo of you, so when we're on Skype, when we're talking on the phone, or I'm trying to get a handle on who's in my group, if I recognize any of you, I'll be able to do that.
Another thing you're going to be doing for this unit, so you'll be doing this by 11:55 p.m. this Friday, hopefully sooner since you'll have a couple of other units assignments to take care of this week, but you'll have a quiz. And if you click on this, I'm not going to do it, give away the items, but you will be taken to that quiz link. The quiz for this module is a little bit longer. There shouldn't give you too much trouble since mostly the questions are about you and about the syllabus. Usually you'll see for a given quiz that there's about 6 items per quiz, so finishing it in the 10-minute time period shouldn't be any problem at all.
I offer this saying in every class to remind myself and to encourage students to decide to be happy. Decide you're going to succeed in this course. Make a plan to make it so. I'll help you do it, and have a great semester. Thank you. Until next time.